Channel, guys, I am starting a new series. This is going to be the most informative MMA series that you probably watch. It truly is, because, well, if you believe my methods work, and I'm telling you they fucking work. They worked incredibly well yesterday. They work almost every time. They don't work every time. There are certain times where astrology just doesn't work. And I will let you know when that happens, but it's very rare. Anyways, I just want to break down yesterday's card and every card going forward, astrologically speaking, and I want to tell you what I saw in the stars before they fought, and then how it played out in the fight. And you use this information because, for instance, JDM had a massive advantage in the stars, and he barely, I don't want to say barely won, he clearly won, but it still was way closer than it should have been. So this is very good information. It basically tells you how much you should weigh a win or a loss going forward. So this information really helps me betting moving forward too. So it will help you too, I promise. Let's begin. Okay, Eileen Perez versus Ashley Evans Smith. Okay, Eileen Perez had a massive jiggle in her ass and a massive advantage in the stars. She won. The few things that stood out to me in this fight, one, her jiggly ass. Two, there was a moment in the fight where she judo threw fucking Evan Smith. I think it was in the second round, and it was one of the nastiest throws I think I've ever seen. Where she literally drug her down and then she flipped her, and the look on Evan Smith's face it was a nasty look. Also, a moment during that fight, I don't know if you guys noticed, Evan Smith was literally just grabbing Eileen's crotch. I swear to God, for like a good 5 to 10 seconds, and the camera was right on it too. Eileen was like pressing her. They were on the ground, and Eileen was kind of like, that's hard to describe, but you know what I'm talking about. Fucking Ashley's hand was literally fucking clawing like this in her vagina. It was crazy. But so a fight like this, Eileen, like 3-1 favorite, and she had a massive advantage in the stars. You can't really put too much stock in it. Evan Smith sucks too as well. So I don't know. Evan Smith is tough though. Like, she could have quit and she didn't. So that's impressive for her, but I think her career is over. Next fight, Alex Munoz versus Carl Deaton. I barely watched this fight. So I can't really. Alex Munoz had a massive advantage in the stars. Massive advantage in the stars. For me, I love the flyweights as long as they fight like flyweights. But when they fight like welterweights, I literally can't even watch it. My brain won't let me. And Larry just wanted attention at the time, so I can't really tell you much about what happened in that fight. I don't even think I watched round 3 at all. And I was like barely paying attention to rounds 1 and 2, so I can't tell you much. I can tell you Alex had an advantage in that fight, so take that for, like, if you watched it, then you can use that information. Okay, next one. Azat Maxim versus Tyson Nam. Maxim had a massive advantage, and he barely won this fight. Like, this fight could have gone to Tyson Nam. This one had me scared a little bit. So, I mean, maybe it's just, UFC debut jitters. So I don't know how much to weigh this, but the fact that Tyson Nam was down that much in the stars and he still put on a decent performance, and Maxim was up that much and he did not look that good, like, that's not a good look moving forward. Next fight, Elder versus Valdez. Valdez had a massive advantage in the stars. Massive. Even though I liked Elder to win, I put just a tiny bit on Valdez because it was that massive. And you saw it in the fight too. Like, you saw that Elder was clearly the more technical striker. You saw that he was clearly the better fighter. But Valdez was landing some shots. Like, he was just doing better than he should have. And that's because of the advantage in the stars. If it was an equal playing ground, or if the roles were reversed, Elder would have finished him 100%. So I have liked Evan Elder since he came into the UFC. Just 2 brutal losses that he really shouldn't have lost. And I rate him high moving forward. Next fight, Costa versus Austin Lingo. Austin Lingo sucks. Costa had a slight advantage in the stars. I picked Lingo in my topology. I did not bet on this one though. I just thought Costa would fade. I thought he'd have a really good first round, and he'd fade, and he faded a little bit, but he didn't fade it. Like, he still kicked Lingo's ass all 3 rounds. Lingo fucking sucks, but he's tough as fuck. I don't think there's really much to say about that fight. I think we all already knew that. Next fight, Dudakova versus Nunes. This is a crazy one because in every other crazy injury that I've seen, I think there's only been 2 others. There was one female injury not that long ago, and then there's another injury. And the other 2 major, like nasty injuries that I've seen since doing this, it was in the stars, and I had the thought, I was like, oh, that person's probably gonna get injured, and they did. This one, I mean, you saw the injury. It was more than the injury that was gross, and it was really fucking gross. But it was Nunes' scream after that was like, I rarely get like squeamish or anything, but her scream after, because I know I've never dislocated my elbow, but I've dislocated my shoulder before, and I know how insanely painful it is. The most pain you can possibly be in. Like I've broken shit. Like I've done a lot of crazy shit to my body, and dislocated shoulder is the worst. So elbow, same type thing. So I felt for her, but there was nothing in the stars. I went back, I looked in the stars, and there was nothing. So there's a chance I missed something. I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm not God, you know, like everything that happens on Earth is reflected in the stars, but I'm not God, and I don't have access to all the meteorites and all the stars and all the things that could possibly affect all the possible methods I could use that I could affect these fights. I'm not like I probably know like 75 to 80% of it, which is good enough. So maybe there was something in the stars good for Dudakova, or more likely bad for Nunes, but maybe it was just the fact that Dudakova just had a really nasty spinning takedown that caused that, you know. But she had a slight advantage in the stars, and then she got that. And I liked that Dom kind of defended her. I like because DC and they would say, well, it is unfortunate injury, whatever, but Dudakova caused that injury because of the way she twisted her down. So yeah, it's an unfortunate injury, but Dudakova caused that. So good on her. Next fight, Bagdasarian versus Tucker Lutz. Bagdasarian, massive advantage. I bet the fucking house on Bagdasarian. And he didn't win nearly as strongly as I felt like he should have, especially against Tucker Lutz. So I don't rate this win highly at all. With the advantage he had in the stars, and with the like, I had Bagdasarian winning anyways. He should have stopped Tucker Lutz. I mean, Tucker Lutz is tough, but he should have stopped him with that level of advantage, and he didn't. So I don't really rate him that high moving forward. Next fight, Terrence McKinney versus Nazim Sadikov. Terrence McKinney had one of... No! Oh, that's going to be fun. I could edit that out, but I'm not going to because that's going to take time. And one of the reasons why I'm doing these videos is because it's quick and easy. So that's just going to stay. Okay, where was I? Sadikov versus Terrence McKinney. McKinney had one of the most unfortunate starting positions in the stars of this entire card. He was like, I think it was like 2 degrees separating from, I believe it was Vesta. It was either Juno or Vesta. 2 really, really bad asteroids you do not want anywhere near your ascendant or descendant, whatever is signifying you. It was basically nut hugging. Like, so when I saw that, I figured Sadikov was winning, and I bet him huge, and he did win. Do not give up on Terrence McKinney. This was 100% just unfortunate case in the stars. If the roles were reversed, Terrence McKinney gets a first round knockout. I'm 100% convinced. Next fight, Norma Dumont versus Chelsea Chandler. Oh my God, I spit out my fucking shit. Norma Dumont versus Chelsea Chandler. So Chelsea Chandler had a pretty big advantage in the stars in this, and she just fucking sucks. Like what you take of this moving forward is that you never bet on Chelsea Chandler. She's fucking horrible. With an advantage like that in stars, she should at least look all right. But like a minute into the fight, she's sprinting straight into the cage. Like there's just a door that's gonna fucking open. Like, I don't know. That was one of the craziest things I think I've ever seen. Like Dom and DC going crazy on the announcing table was like one of the highlights of the card. Because they're like, we've never seen that before. Like, what the hell? It's like, yeah, we've seen people like kind of run away. Like, we've seen run away, but we've never seen full blown sprints, not even looking back and just going straight into the cage. But she survived, and mostly because Dumont was retarded and just didn't keep it standing up. But still, and as a Norma Dumont, I don't think we learned much from her. Like, she's a She's a good featherweight. She's the only featherweight, really, in the UFC. What other decent featherweights are there in the UFC right now for females? There really isn't. So we didn't really learn anything from that, other than Chelsea Chandler fucking sucks. Never, ever bet on her. Ever. She had a huge advantage. Next fight, Young Park versus Albert Derive. Park, I think the biggest advantage this entire card anyone had was Park. He had the biggest advantage out of anyone. So, and his advantage, it was him. When you look at the stars, it's when you calculate advantage, you got one and the other. And then like sometimes when you calculate advantage, it's like one fighter just is really, really bad and the other one's average. And sometimes one fighter is really, really good and the other one's average. This one, Park just had like all the cards stacked in his favor, but Derive was just neutral karma is what I'd call it. And Park did what he's supposed to do in that situation. He's the favorite and he had a massive advantage in the stars. But don't rate this victory big. Like this was the biggest advantage out of all 13 fights in the card. And he won. He got the win, but if the roles were reversed, would that have still happened? I really don't think so. I truly don't think so. I think Derive wins. So I think this is one of those matchups where like when there's really, really close matchups where I think this wasn't, even if you're watching the fight, it didn't look like a close matchup, but knowing this information and seeing how it played out, like I could tell that Derive, like don't give up on Derive because of this. And don't think Park is amazing because of this either. Next fight, Francisco Prado versus Atman Zaitar. This was the most neutral fight on the card. I have seen this before, but it's really, really rare. Both fighters were zero. Both fighters had nothing good and nothing bad in the stars. They were both completely neutral. So this is a huge one to take. The fact that Prado knocked him out in round one on a completely level playing field, huge for Prado. Rate him highly going forward. I called that too. I had that in my typology and I bet on it too. So yeah, Prado's really good. I already knew he was pretty good. And Zaitar, I don't want to say I always thought he was a little bit overrated. And I don't think this loss proves he's overrated because I think Prado is really good, but it's not a good look for him to get knocked out in the first round on an even playing field, both in the odds and in the stars. Next fight. This is the craziest one of the card for sure for me. JDM versus Basil Hafez. JDM had, I think, the third biggest advantage in the stars, and even though I don't want to say he barely won because he clearly won. Even though it was a split decision, he did clearly win. And this is when DC on the announcing table finally started annoying me. I almost switched to the Spanish announcing table because it was that bad. Saying that Hafez won round two because he was on him for like a minute and 40 seconds, even though he literally didn't. He was just holding him there doing nothing. And JDM's shots were, as usual, fucking lethal as always. So, I don't know. I think moving forward, you got to rate Basil Hafez very, very highly that he did that well with that bad of a starting point. And yeah, the fact that he made it 3 rounds with JDM, huge. Although he might have just made it 3 rounds just because JDM had 2 weight cuts like within like a week or two. That probably played a pretty big role in it too. But yeah, not great for JDM moving forward. Like when he faces the higher wrestling caliber guys in the division, it might be an issue. The biggest thing though is you motherfucker stop fucking pulling guillotine. I was screaming. All my money was riding on this fight. Every single fight that I picked, that I bet on, I parlayed with JDM. so I was, as you'd imagine, I was kind of going crazy when he fucking pulled the guillotine for the 3rd time. And right when he pulls it, Hafez does the same. He just floated right over his fucking legs. Like, I don't know how the fuck you do that 3 times in a row when the first time it didn't work. And pulling guillotines is just stupid at this level anyways. Hopefully he learns his lesson and never does it again. I don't know. And the final fight, Holly Holm versus Bueno Silva. Bueno Silva had a very slight advantage in the stars. Both of them had good positions in the stars. Hers were just slightly better. And I was going to bet Mayra Bueno Silva. I was going to bet her, but then I thought, this card was a really good card for me. I was like, I'm already up big. I do not want to lose and just be up a little bit because of a fucking women's fight. Especially, like, if she had a bigger advantage in the stars, I would have bet her. But it wasn't big enough for me to think that, an underdog is going to get this. So the fact that she got that second round choke, very, very impressive. Super impressive. And you should rate her kind of high moving forward because she had an advantage, but it wasn't so big where she should be finishing Holly in round 2. So she is definitely better than Holly. And the shots she was throwing were pretty fucking heavy, man. In classic Henry Holm, fucking just trying to stall shit in the cage. She got what she deserved. I wish she would have gotten punched in her stupid face more. So that is my breakdown. Hope you guys learned something. Use this information going forward. The biggest takeaways, I'd say Hafez, like rate him highly going forward. Prado, rate him highly going forward. McKinney, don't give up on McKinney. Don't give up on derive. And do not, for whatever reason, no matter what you think is going to happen, do not bet on Chelsea Chandler. Holy shit. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week if you guys like this. Peace.